What's up, world? What's up with y'all, man? B Marsh Boxing, and I'm back at it once again with another boxing video. Here we have post-fight results for the historic fight as far as Undisputed is concerned at 168 pounds. First undisputed bout ever at 168 pounds between Canelo Alvarez and Caleb Plant. And this was a very good fight, y'all. This was a good fight. Got to give both warriors they credit they do, you know. Hey man, Caleb Plant did better than I thought, but let me get into it. I mean, the first round was a close round, Caleb Plant was establishing his jab and also a lot of lateral movement. You know what I mean? Look at Canelo. Canelo, they put a crown on his head, but the man Canelo was, basically trying to figure out what the man Caleb Plant is about. I gave the first round to Caleb Plant. The second round I gave it to the man Canelo. You know what I mean? Canelo had the harder punches. You know what I mean? He was establishing his power shot game, not so much the jab game. One thing that I noticed, the man Caleb Plant would pump out the jab in the earlier rounds, but wasn't really bringing back his left hand towards his head. You know what I mean? For protection. Oh boy. You know what I'm saying? But round 3, I gave it to the man Caleb Plant. You know what I'm saying? A close round. Caleb Plant, I thought he established his jab, throwing the right hand, not with as much power conviction like the man Canelo was, but his lateral movement and making the man Canelo have to follow him around. Canelo's cutting off the ring skills were quite horrendous, might I say. Yeah, I mean, the man really couldn't cut off the ring, but he started to pick up the momentum with the body shots. That's his best way to make a man stay stagnant as far as the lateral movement. You check it. Low. Yeah, so round 3, I gave it to Canelo. Round 4 was a round that I gave it to Caleb Plant. You know what I mean? Caleb Plant, I thought his defense, and he had some nice shoe shine punches in there, letting his hands go. You know what I mean? Not all the punches got through, but a few of them did. And, I thought that he had he landed more shots in the round 4. You know what I mean? Caleb Plant is a guy who would throw more combinations. Oh, shit. Sorry, I'm looking at the replays. Oh, boy. Caleb Plant. Nashville. This was y'all's night tonight. But, Caleb Plant, round 5, I gave it to Canelo. Canelo was not picking up the pressure, landing the body shots. You know what I mean? He was having, at times, the man, Caleb Plant was backed up on the ropes. But Caleb Plant would wiggle his way out of the ropes. But the harder body shots and the power shots to the head, I gave him to Canelo in rounds 5 and 6. Round 7 was a round that I gave to Caleb Plant. Yeah, I mean, Caleb, that right hand to the motherfucking neck was crucial. Round 7 was a round looked like Canelo took his time off, you know what I mean? Took the round off. Caleb Plant was on a lateral movement, using a lot of punch variation and the shoe shine punching, you know what I mean? Didn't quite have the power to knock out Canelo at any stage of this particular fight, you know what I'm saying? Round 8, I gave it to Canelo, and round 9, I gave it to Caleb Plant. So going into the 10th round, I had it 5-4 in favor of Canelo Alvarez. You know what I'm saying? But rounds 10 and 11 was all Canelo, and especially round 11. And that's where the fight ended. The man Caleb Plant got caught with a mean left hook on the ropes early in round 11. And that was the first knockdown That was the first knockdown of the fight and the very first knockdown in Caleb Plant's career, him hitting the canvas, you know what I mean? He gets dropped and he's on wobbly legs, you know what I mean? He's on Queer Street. He basically walked from one end of the ring to the other. then walked back. I don't know if he was trying to get his legs under him. If I was him, I'd have taken my 8 count, get back up, and try to buy some time. But at that point, he had no defense. You know what I mean? No defense at all. For the most part of the fight, why the man wasn't really bringing back his left hand back to his head was because he was using a shoulder roll. And that shoulder roll was actually giving Canelo problems. The man Caleb Plant was riding a lot of the shots, especially straight right hands from the man Canelo. But the left hook and the left hook to the body was Canelo's bread and butter tonight. You know what I mean? That was his bread and butter tonight, and that's what won him the fight. When Caleb Plant got up off the first knockdown, look at Caleb Plant. He ain't even staying in the ring. He ain't gonna stay in the ring for a post-fight interview. He's walking back to the dressing room. Anyways, his pop's gonna console him in the locker room. You lost your IBF belt tonight, man. Who knows if you'll ever be a world champion again? It is what it is. Maybe if these belts get vacated, it's boxing. Never say never. But after Canelo got up from the first knockdown, man, after Caleb Plant got up off the first knockdown, Canelo commenced to wailing on his ass. You know what I mean? Just went berserk on him. You know what I mean? Through mad combinations. A lot of them was to the head and to the neck, and the man went down, straight up and down on his back. And it was a wrap. It was a brutal punishment that he took. And let me hear what Canelo got to say with Jim Gray. Hold tight. I was born ready. Viva Mexico! What's up with y'all in the chat? My man Mike 104, what the deal, man? What's up with y'all, man? Caleb, I'm sorry, what's his name? Hold tight. Let me read these chats right quick. Mike 104 says, damn, son, B. Marsh, what's happening? What's good, man? The biased commentary sounded like HBO guys in Showtime Halloween costumes. I thought that, what's his name? Steve Farhood's scorecard was, I didn't agree with it one bit, because going into the 10th round, I had it 5-4. You can't tell me Caleb Plant didn't win 4 rounds going into the 10th, you know what I'm saying? And the man had it pretty wide, and I didn't quite agree with his scorecard, you know what I mean? Mike 104 says Caleb Plant reach and hand speed had Canelo off balance for the first 3 rounds. Caleb Plant didn't have the power to influence the fight. Absolutely, I agree 100%. D-Dubs, what's up? He says, impressive effort by Plant, but we all knew Canelo was going to catch him at some point. What's up, B. Marsh Boxer? What's up with you, D-Dubs? I agree with you 100%. I thought that shoulder roll, he tried to take a page out of Floyd's book, you know what I mean? And, it worked for him as far as riding a lot of those straight right hands. You know what I'm saying? Especially from close quarters. But the left hook is what he couldn't escape from. You know what I mean? And he caught a couple left hooks and he ate them early in the rounds, but he also threw back his punches, which made it, made the rounds closer as far as the rounds that Caleb Plant won. You know what I'm saying? But like D-Dub said, eventually he was going to get caught. And going into the 11th round, I sat here with my boy, and I said, yo, this might be going 12. I initially predicted that this fight would be a stoppage between the 9th and the 11th round. And sure enough, it happened in the 11th round. But I thought going into the 11th round, when that bell rang,
incident that happened. That he didn't mean it that way. He said to you, and I heard him, he said he had no mother. Himself, he lost his mother at a young age. And I say, at the end of the day, we are a man, everything is okay, and keep going.
Canelo gotta apologize for the insults. He said Caleb Plant's mother, who passed away. That left hook was what caught him in the 11th round, and then a right uppercut, and then another left hook to the head, and he went down he didn't want to go down. He was down kind of like on his hands and knees, and then he got up and he ran from one corner, one and he seen Canoli running at him, but he couldn't stop it, man. Another left hook, and he just got battered. He was actually running. He was actually running, and he just got caught with one right hand to the neck, bank, and that was it. That right hand to the neck is what put him on his back. Canelo is very heavy-handed because he's very flat-footed. So that actually gives him a lot of balance to throw hard shots. And that's how he got the man Caleb Plant tonight, you know what I mean? D-Dub said, I said six tops. Plant did good to survive, but yeah, it was only a matter of time. Absolutely. Mike 104 says, Canoli to be an even bigger diva. I don't know who he want to fight next. He should fight out the winner of David Benavidez and Kyron, or whatever his name is, Kyron Davis. And they fight this month, actually, probably next weekend. Come on, there ain't nothing else to do, you know what I mean? There's nothing else to do. I mean, unless he vacates all his straps and goes up to light heavyweight and challenge for a world title there. If he's gonna keep all these belts that he has at 168, and let's not get it twisted. Yes, Canoli is the first man to have all four belts simultaneously at one time at 168. But Joe Calzaghe had all four straps. Don't ever forget that at 168. I mean, the man had all four straps. Had the WBO when he beat what's his name? Eubank, that he held for many years. He had an IBF when he beat Jeff Lacey. He had a WBA. I believe when he beat what's his name? Was it a WBC? He had a WBA when he beat what's his name? What's that guy? What's that guy's name? Damn, the guy slipped in my mind. The guy from, was it Sweden or damn, y'all. I'm forgetting people's names these days, man. What's the guy? Not Svenoki, because he never fought Svenoki. What's that guy, man? I'm trying to remember, y'all. And I'm going to remember. Fuck that, man. I got to jog my memory. You know what I mean? But Calzaghe had all four straps. Not simultaneously. The guy who fought Carl Froch, he was a big puncher out of Sweden or Finland or whatever. You know what I mean? What's his name? Mikkel Kessler. That's right, Mikkel Kessler. You know what I mean? So he had a strap when he beat Mikkel Kessler. I believe that was for a WBA strap. You know what I mean? You check it. So he had all the straps. And when he fought the man Kessler, he won two straps in one night. You know what I mean? So yes, Canoli made history being undisputed, having all four straps at one time. But Joe Calzaghe was undefeated his whole career. What was he like? What was his man like 46-0? You know what I mean? The man was like 46-0 with all them straps. You know what I mean? So Canoli has put himself in good company, but we have to put everything in context, how he won all these straps and who he beat for these straps. You know what I mean? I believe Mikkel Kessler would beat everybody that Canoli beat for these world titles. As far as the Callum Smiths, who else did he beat? The what's that Turkish guy, Yildirim? You know what I mean? Yeah, D-Dub says Kessler, absolutely, Kessler. Mike 104 says, okay, I read that. D-Dub says, Canoli has to move up, I agree, if he wants that legacy. Or he could stay here at 168 and defend his straps against the likes of David Benavidez. That's a fight boxing fans want to see. Now, those guys who are scared for Canoli to ever get a second loss in his career, they don't want to see that fight. They'll say, what has David Benavidez done? He has an undefeated record just like Caleb Plant has. So that fight is should be made next. And also another Mexican who I believe can give Canoli problems with his height, length, and a guy who can box and bang is Zudo Ramirez. You know what I mean? At 168, a fellow Mexican. But you know, like I know, Canoli said he's never ever gonna fight a Mexican fighter ever again. So that might omit David Benavidez and Zudo Ramirez. We'll see when he fights another black fighter too, you know. But Caleb Plant, you know, Canoli's been on a Caucasian beaten mission lately as far as Caleb Plant, American fighter, Caucasian American, the Callum Smiths, the Yildirims, you know, and the Rocky Fieldings, all these guys, you know what I mean? We'd like to see him mix it up, you know what I'm saying? Let me see him fight some brothers and some Mexicans. You know what I mean, let's see him fight these type of guys. Because you've seen, like I seen, the footwork and the lateral movement is why the man Caleb Plant survived till 11 rounds. And he ain't survived, to be honest, because he wasn't just not fighting. The man was in the fight. And if he won 11th and the 12th round on my card, this fight would have possibly been a draw. But he got caught by one left hook, and that changed the whole momentum of the fight. You know what I mean? Uh, Money Man Mello says Canelo's power is crazy. Canelo's power is pretty good against the opposition he faces, you know, really and truly. You know what I mean? And he's very heavy handed, and that left hook changed the whole momentum of the fight. Um, Canelo's power. Oh, I read that. P Money, what the deal, P Money? He says that's why Canoli ain't wanted with Andrade. Absolutely. And big ups to P Money, man. P Money, I gotta ask you, man, what's up with D Lillard, man? You know I love Lillard just like you do. I'm not necessarily a Blazers fan, but this guy, Dave Lillard, man, he's averaging career lows. 18 points per game. What's up with him, man? The other guy, the other two guard, McCallum, he's dropping his 23 per usual, you know. But I'm not liking what I'm seeing for them from the man Damian Lillard, man. 18 points ain't gonna cut it. If this is a guy who's averaged 30 before. Let me know, man. Let me know what you think, P Money. I know this a boxing vid, but you know, P Money is a guy we talk boxing and b-ball with all day, every day. You know what I mean? Um. Money Man Mello says, do you think there's anybody who has a chance with Canelo? Absolutely, man. Nobody in boxing is invincible. Money Man Mello. Nobody's invincible. Any and everybody can be beat. You know what I mean? And Canelo picks and chooses his opponents. You know, we want to see him against a David Benavidez, a big, young, strong kid who's knocks fellas out as well. You know what I mean? Bubu Andrade at 160. He might have to move up, but this is a guy Canoli has avoided since 2013. I don't got to make this shit up, my guy. Go do your history. You know what I mean? So there is guys. I believe he beats guys like Jamal Charlo, because Jamal Charlo don't test himself, and he really is content with just making a couple dollars and defending his WBC belt against nobodies. But I do believe there's guys who have a chance. If he moves up to 175, look, Better Beef looked kind of like ass the last time we seen him in the ring. Dimitri Bivol is a small 175-pounder, but he's a guy who has movement and great boxing skills. He possibly has a chance, you know what I mean? So, you know, I'm not saying all these guys beat Canelo, but they do have a chance to beat him, absolutely. P Money says about Lillard, a crazy slump, but he broke out of it against the Lake Show last night. Oh, what? Who won that game? You know what I mean? I'm out the country right now, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I watch my Boston Celtics, then I call it a wrap. I watched the Celtics tonight. We lost against Luka, man, a game winner. You know what I mean? That's 2 years in a row. Luka has killed us with what you call it, a dagger at the end of the clock. You know what I mean? I wasn't even pissed. I was like, you know what? Let me watch boxing now. So yeah, I'm looking at the stats. Lillard at 25, and y'all beat the Lakers yesterday. Both of y'all 5-5. That's a good dub. But you know, the man who wasn't playing, LeBron was not playing. You know, but hey man, I want to see Lillard get back in position. You know what I mean? Because this 18 points per game ain't gonna cut it. You know, and 5-5 record, he might not even make the All-Star game unless the fans vote for him to be a starter. You know what I mean? Um, D Dub says off topic, but this new NBA ball's got many players playing all effed up. Plus, the league to me is pretty weak. Ain't like the past. Yeah, definitely NBA ain't like the past. That's a fact, you know. But I'm a fan of basketball, regardless. Just like boxing ain't the same. But I still watch every single fight. I don't miss no fights, you know. Definitely sports. These new athletes, they not like the athletes I grew up watching in the 90s, 2000s. You know what I mean? And even the late 80s, you know what I mean? But um, I agree with you on that. I don't know about the new ball. I haven't touched the new Wilson NBA ball, so I wouldn't know how it feels. You know what I mean? D Dub says guys need to move up to fight Canelo now because Canelo has to move up himself. These guys are big enough to make 175. I don't know if Bubu Andrade big enough to make 175. Uh, but there's fights out there, you know. But we want to see David Benavidez, man. Viva Mexico, man. Do this for the Mexican fans, you know what I mean? You know, we seen Marco Antonio Barrera versus Morales 3 times. Them fellas wasn't scared to put it all on the line for Mexico, you know what I mean? Tijuana versus Mexico City. You know what I mean? They put it on and they gave us great fights we still talk about till today. You're going to have to tell me which great fight Canoli has been involved with, whether it's been with an African American fighter like Cesar Chavez versus Meldrick Taylor, or Cesar Chavez versus Frankie Randall, or, you know, a great fight between, you know, Mexican versus Mexican versus Mexican violence. You know, Cesar Chavez, you know what I mean? Them fellas fought everybody. You know what I mean? Well, you know, I told y'all Barrera versus what's his name? Morales, you know what I mean? That Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. versus Canoli, that shit don't count. And you gotta ask yourself, why did Canoli fight this bum Mexican named Baby Chavez, but you ain't gonna fight live dudes like David Benavidez and Zudo Ramirez, undefeated fighters, you know what I mean? Time will tell, man. Time will tell. JD80 says Canelo versus Benavidez, Canelo versus Charlo. Who should be next for Canelo to fight? Benavidez. Benavidez. That's what we want to see. I'm about to look right now in the sanctioning body rankings. And I know David Benavidez is probably #1 in the WBC. We shall check. Let me check him out right quick. Bear with me while I go to the sanctioning body rankings. And let me see what's popping at 168. 168, super middleweight. David Benavidez is the #1 contender at WBC. In the WBA, David Morrell has a kind of fake ass WBA belt. Now, David Morrell is this Cuban kid, you know what I mean? Very good fighter, based out of Minnesota, you know what I mean? He has a kind of WBA Fit Fugazi belt, and the #1 contender in the WBA is a guy named Aidios Yebasolonuli. Never heard of the guy. Okay. IBF, I guess the #1 contender there now is a guy named Evgeny Shevdenko. Never heard of the guy one day in my life. And the #1 contender at WB with the WBO strap is a guy named Zach Parker. Never heard of Zach Parker. But #2 is David Jacobs. I've heard of him. And #3 is David Lemieux. So, you know, where's Zudo Ramirez? Zudo Ramirez ain't even ranked in the WBC. Wow. They disrespecting that man. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. So congratulations to the man Canelo Alvarez for attaining Undisputed at 168. Now, in boxing history, in the 4-belt era to become undisputed, we've had Bernard Hopkins was the first man to have all 4 straps. Jermaine Taylor beat him, so he's second. Third, I believe, was Bud Crawford at 140. Alexander Usyk at cruiserweight is the fourth. The fifth to ever become undisputed with all four straps is Josh Taylor, who's currently undisputed at 140 pounds. And Canelo is the sixth man and the first man to ever become undisputed at 160. Now, guys like Andre Ward, he's a way greater fighter than Canelo, and that's a fact. Just off skill set, you know what I mean? He had an opportunity to become undisputed at 168 when he beat Carl Froch for the WBC title, and he beat Mikkel Kessler for the WBA title, but he didn't fight Lucien Bute for the IBF. And the WBO title was going back and forth during them years between Arthur Abraham and Stieglitz, that German guy Stieglitz. They kept fighting each other. They fought each other like 4 times. Abraham wins one. Stieglitz wins. Abraham, Stieglitz. So I guess Andre Ward didn't have an incentive to fight the man Arthur Abraham because he had already beat him in the Super 6 tournament. You know what I mean? So Canelo is here with all straps at 168. And I'm not sure what he's going to do. Is he going to stay at 168 and defend all them straps like Josh Taylor's about to do at 140, take all mandatories, etc.? But if Canelo doesn't want to stay at 168 and he moves up to 175, where he has won a world title, albeit against the weakest contender, the weakest champion at the time or title holder, Sergey Kovalev, who hasn't fought since and who has tested positive for steroids since. You know what I mean? So how great does that W look on Canelo's resume? Not so great. Back up, man. All right, so we keep reading the chat. All right. Where we at in the chat? Augustine Diaz Perez says Canelo can fight anyone. Absolutely, man. He's the cash cow in boxing. He picks and chooses whom he wants to fight. And if he wants to fight Zudo Ramirez, David Benavidez, Bubu Andrade, he can fight him. But will he? That's the question. That remains to be answered. It's Irving in the chat says Benavidez has to KO the bum he's fighting against first. I'm not going to call Kyron Davis a bum, but I believe he will get the W, whether it's by KO or decision. But I believe a KO is more, I'd lean more to a KO because that's what David Benavidez does. Michael Blink says Plant wasn't live enough. And question mark. Plant wasn't live enough? Michael Blink, of course he was live enough, man. This man was in the fight till he got knocked out in the 11th. He possibly had a chance for a draw. Because look, going into the 10th round, I had it 5-4 Canelo. Now the 10th round, I gave it to Canelo. So that's 6-4. Okay? So the 11th and 12th, if Caleb Plant managed to win the 11th and 12th, on my scorecard, it would be a draw. So no question he was live enough, you know what I mean? I thought, man, I predicted this fight to be a stoppage in the 9th and the 11th round. But between the 9th and the 11th round. But in the 11th round, when Caleb Plant was still, when the bell rang, I was like, uh-oh, this man got a chance for this fight to go the distance. But nope, that left hook caught him, and that changed the whole fight. Mike 104 says, 168, Andre Ward would beat Canelo. Of course. James Toney would beat Canelo at 168. Roy Jones would beat Canelo at 168. I believe even what's his name? Joe Calzaghe, a southpaw, who, yeah, he's not a hard puncher, but the man, Calzaghe had a chin. I'll give him that. And the hand speed and the combination punching of the man Calzaghe. I believe these guys would beat the man Canoli at 168. Because everybody in this chat, you seen like I seen. The issue Canoli had tonight with Caleb Plant was the lateral movement, which he eventually stabilized with the body shot game. But what did Caleb Plant start to employ when he was now stationary and in the middle of the ring? The shoulder roll. And that was giving the man Canoli a lot of problems, you know what I mean? So a guy with footwork and at least a decent chin, yeah, they'll give Canoli problems because his feet slower than molasses. All right, where we at in the chat? D Dub says at JD80, I don't want to see him fight Charlo Andrade. I don't want to see him fight Charlo. Andrade Benavides, though, but I can see them wasting time. Maybe not Benavides. It's Irving says fight. N3 Lou says, you take away Canelo lead uppercut, it's straight. He can't do much. And the left hook, you gotta take away the left hook and the body shot. The Canelo is arguably the best body puncher in boxing. His jab is almost non-existent. He's a power puncher, very flat-footed, sits down on his punches so he could load up, especially to the body. You know what I mean? That's why a person with lateral movement, quick feet, and also good reflexes will give a man like Canoli problems, you know what I mean? But until he faces a guy like that, if he faces guys who don't have those attributes, he's going to continue getting his dubs, you know what I mean? JD80 says, Canelo needs to fight an undefeated fighter next. Benavides is the prime candidate. I agree with you, JD80, 100%. Lobo Ferros 41. I don't understand his English, so I'm not even going to go there. Andres Pina says, Rangam who? What language y'all fellas speaking? Lobos Ferros says, draw? Wow. Yes, if he won 11th in the 12th round, it would be a draw. On my card, at least. Bimo the BK says, yo, these Canelo man fans talking whitewash. What the fuck? Whitewash? I ain't see that, remember? Plant took a huge step up from Dallas, etc. No, man, this wasn't no whitewash. What are they smoking? They must be smoking wet and must be visually impaired if they thought this fight was a whitewash. What they talking about? Mark Visionary says, Caleb got tired, simple. Possibly, but I mean, it's boxing. And he was in the fight till he got clipped. And it's boxing. He got caught with a left hand, and that changed the whole fight. Mark Visionary says, Canelo got handed Undisputed because the fighters he fought just wasn't enough, simple. Caleb didn't have power. He had to win with volume, which made him tired. It's a bad matchup in reality. No, it's not a bad matchup. It was if it was a bad matchup, then this guy would have been knocked out in the first, second, or third round. What are you talking about, bad matchup? The man was in the fight. Give the man his credit as far as doing better than a lot of us thought. You know, he did way better than than I thought he would do. You know what I mean? Frank Rosario said his name is Canelo, not Canoli. Get it right. Shut the fuck up, Frank Rosario. You gonna come to my channel and tell me what to say? Are you high? Are you high? I'm gonna smack the shit out of you if I seen you, and I'll call you Canoli to his face. Boy, please. Cocksuckers like you, man, come here to ruin a nice chat. Everybody's talking boxing. You here worried about what I'm calling Canoli. Get off his dick, cocksucker. I don't like fellas like y'all, man. We talking boxing, but you here tugging on a man's nuts because of what I called him. You lucky I ain't call him no other names, clown. Okay, where we at in the chat? Salvador Delgado says Canelo, Canelo. Okay, whatever, y'all. Bimo the BK says Better Beef next. Better Beef will probably take the fight. But I ain't like how Better Beef looked against that German man I watched earlier this year. Where was the fight at in Russia? He ain't look good in that fight. And Better is old, y'all. Better be he about like 37 years old. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, he's like 15, 16 and 0 and stuff like that. 16 KOs. You know, I like Better Beef. I've liked the kid ever since I've watched him. You know, so I've watched every single fight in his career. The fight that put him on the map was when he destroyed. Was it Gabriel Campillo and what's the other guy? The guy Adonis and Bihab beat. Former IBF world champion at 175. I forgot his name. But those are fights that put Better Beef on, you know what I mean? But Better Beef's career has been prolonged. He's been taking his time. You know what I mean? He's been taking his time, and eventually, man, he's gonna get caught. You know what I mean? He's gonna get beat by, if not another 175-pound champion in the unification. It might even be by a mandatory. Who knows? Tavares Cloud, my man. Thank you, B Mother BK. Tavares Cloud, salute. Yes, indeed. Remember how B-Hop beat that man, and B-Hop was much younger than him. And then Adonis Stevenson just made that man quit. And Tavares Cloud was a decent fighter, but he was a tough dude. Where we at? No, I'm not reading no man fans comments. I'm not gonna do that. You're not gonna come and be tugging on Canoli's nuts on my channel when this guy is a 2-time steroid abuser. Never forget that. Why don't y'all cocksuckers who tugging on Canoli's nuts trying to milk him like you trying to milk a cow's udders? Why don't y'all talk about how this guy is a catch weight king, be giving fellas rehydration clauses, be trying to find every advantage to get a W. You see, you guys forced this out of me. I didn't want to go there, but you ain't gonna come to my channel and start trying to make it look like I'm here hating on Canoli. I gave the man his props tonight. He's undisputed. You know what I mean? I give him his props. He beat Caleb Plant. That's a good W for him. But you ain't gonna come here and act like this guy ain't a 2-time steroid abuser. You know what I mean? A guy who is a catchweight king, a guy who has a lot of world titles who he beat nobodies, a guy who brings up guys like what's that guy's name? Rocky, not Rocky Feldman, Riverside Rocky. What's that guy? The guy who almost beat what's his name? Keith Thurman, beating these guys for world titles, and Matthew Hattons for world titles. That's what we're not going to do. The Liam Smiths, that's what you're not going to do over here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you guys, I'm not going to read your comments if you're going to come here tugging on a man's nuts. Let's talk about tonight's fight. You know what I mean? JD80 says Benavidez will be the guy who could KO Canoli. Possibly, but, I'm not so impressed with the man, David Benavidez. This guy's a guy. Look, I like Benavidez, but he has his flaws, man. He has his flaws. I mean, if a man like that Romanian guy he fought put him on the backseat of his pockets in the first fight, yeah, he beat him viciously in the second fight. I even forgot that guy's name. What's the other guy's name? He had a fight against somebody and he ain't looked too impressed. Oh, Anthony the Dog Durrell. Yeah, he beat the Dog Durrell as he's supposed to, but he ain't looked too great in that fight neither, you know what I mean? And he struggled to get that dub. But albeit, we want to see the fight because the man is undisputed. Not undisputed, excuse me, undefeated, you know what I mean? You check it? Yeah, man, so this was a good fight for the man Canoli, you know what I mean? The man got himself all 4 straps, makes history at 168 pounds. He maneuvered his way. He waited till David Benavidez ain't have a strap, and that's when he put himself in the mix to go ahead and beat, all the Caucasians. You know what I mean? He ain't fighting no Mexican fighters. He ain't fighting no black dudes. He's been fighting Caucasian fighters. So he's pound for pound for beating up white dudes. Absolutely. I'll give him that. No question about it. You know what I mean? And there ain't nothing more else to it, So, B-Marsh Boxing, I'm going to go ahead and enjoy my vacation. And I'm going to let y'all Canoli nut huggers, y'all could salivate on this W. Yeah, this ain't no leg. He ain't beat nobody to get this strap as far as a great fighter. He just beat another title holder. You know what I mean? Just like the Callum Smiths. Is it Callum Smith? Oh, yeah, Callum Smiths and the Avni Yildirim's to become undisputed. You know what I mean? So big ups to everybody in the chat. And big ups to everybody who keeps it 100, who comes on my boxing channel to talk boxing and not suck on another boxer's dick while they, you know what I mean? I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one, B Marsh Boxing, and I'm gone. Peace.